Hello and welcome to a little slightly different weekly video from us. We have Corey, Peyton, and myself, Yaila. This week, we were just guided to share things that we're seeing kind of as patterns or common themes through our clients and our students, or just something that's been weighing heavy on our hearts. So, how about you, Corey? What are you seeing as far as a topic that you would love to share and we can discuss that would be helpful for those of you watching?
Oh, thank you, Yaila. And first of all, I love you ladies. I'm so grateful that, Peyton just said that we're coming up on our 100th video. And I'm so grateful for you ladies. I really am. And just being here together. It's been an amazing experience. It really has. And what I've been seeing a lot in the spiritual community, but everything kind of bleeds over, as in my world at least, and is um, two different worlds. I've been seeing literally like two different worlds, like some and we're talking about even in the spiritual community is the one world that is going along, la 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 la, just not really aware of the energies that are around, and another side of um, of the collective, but even the spiritual community that's super duper tapped in. And I haven't seen a whole bunch of middle ground. And so, it's been very interesting these days. And if anybody is out there and is, just has confusion, it's okay because, we're shifting a lot of timelines right now. And there's really seems to be two distinct timelines. Neither one being, good or bad, it's just our journey. And one of the things that does cause the confusion is that we're all changing so much. We're all doing big shifts. We have so much energy that's hitting this planet. And everybody is on their different parts of their journey. And so, if you're confused, that's why I'm just seeing a lot of people too confused about it. You know, like, oh my gosh, what, doesn't that person see the obvious right there? And I don't understand. I've been hearing a lot of, I don't understand. Like, isn't that obvious? Or, just that a lot of confusion, which in turn seems to be causing a lot of division, which makes me sad because we're all in this human experience together. And so, the confusion is really that we're all on different parts of our journey. And so, of course, we're not all the same. So we don't see everything exactly the same. Whereas for a long time, a lot of the people in the spiritual community were on a certain path. It's just like the certain path together. And but there's lots of branching off now. And but one of the things that I wanted to, that's really on my heart, is that we're still all in it together. And the difference between, doing our own individual work, that inner work, the shadow work, um, looking at, the core issues that and the core beliefs that we've grown up with has to be done. It really needs to be done, but not confusing that with um, just being on a path alone, because we are all on this planet together and we all need to stick together as a human race, because this planet is changing and it's shifting and we all need each other. So by doing your own individual work, helps yourself and other people. So I've seen a lot of that as well, where people are, a lot of people doing the inner work. Is it easy? No. Is it worth it? Yeah. But then become isolated and feel as though they're really on this journey alone. And so, what's on my heart is that you're not alone. Yes, we must do our own work, but it's for the purpose of everyone. Because if we do our own work, then we can help somebody else who may be just a little behind in their journey to which, we've already traveled. And so we all, we're all forgetting that, we're all in this together. And I've been seeing a lot of that lately. How about you, Peyton?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, Corey. That is something that has been getting more and more obvious to me, like more like visceral experience, that there's just two completely different train tracks, essentially. And the Pleiadians are so funny because they've talked about this for so long. They're like, you're splitting timelines. You are going to see less and less of what is not a vibrational match to you. And I think we are seeing that so visibly in our world right now. Like, I can go out in the world just doing something totally normal, and I can watch the people near me, and it's like I'm watching another planet. It is something so far from my experience. And I'm like, wow, I can just see what the guides are talking about, that we're starting to move toward what we are vibrating in alignment with. And one of the things we've been going through for so long is all the timelines have been jumbled. And so we've all been kind of smacking around together, but it's starting to separate. And so we're starting to, I think, see that separation. So yes, Corey, I completely agree with what you're saying. And I think a couple of the things that I'm seeing, some of because I work with a lot of star seeds, so I work with the galactics, and so something that I'm seeing in a lot of people, a lot of clients, a lot of students right now is, first of all, I'm seeing a huge explosion of people waking up, and especially star seeds, people coming to, very quick awakenings. All of a sudden, none of this that we talk about has ever been of interest to them. And all of a sudden they're like, wait, what? And they want to know everything. And so I'm seeing this really fascinating, and the guides are talking about it being a mass awakening of star seeds in particular. That the last time this happened was 2012, when we crossed the dimensional barrier into fourth dimension, and there was a huge awakening on the planet, and it's happening again right now. And so I'm seeing that a lot, just a lot of people who are new to what we all talk, the three of us talk about. And, they've gone from having no interest in it to all of a sudden they can't get enough. And so I love seeing that. It's so fun to see, like you said, Corey, the next generation coming along, even if they're, our contemporaries, what they're just now coming to this information and having this explosion of seeing the world differently. So I think that has been really, really kind of fun. And then one other thing that I'm noticing that some people are struggling with right now, so I kind of wanted to throw this out in case anyone else is bumping into this. And I'm seeing this in the more experienced light workers. So I'm seeing this in clients who have been doing their work for a long time, people who've been on their path for a couple of years, really doing their inner work. And they're kind of starting to see that some of their tools aren't working the way they used to. And so it's kind of interesting, because I've had clients asking, what's going on with this? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. I'm doing the shadow work. I'm doing the healing. I've done the work on the traumas and the core wounds. Why aren't the tools working the same way? And one example of this is grounding tools. I am seeing grounding not working for people the way it used to. And so I asked the guides, what's going on here? We're seeing people, and the way it kind of pops up for people is either they're in a loop with something in their life and they just can't break out of whatever that issue is. Or, they're just finding that the way they would normally approach it, their tools just aren't solving the problem anymore. And so I asked the guides about it, and what they said is, So many of you have been doing your personal work for so long that you've kind of done and cleared a lot of your individual issues, your individual stuff. And so now what is happening is there's what the guides are calling a spiritual initiation going on, where more advanced light workers and star seeds are now being up leveled. And so we're being asked and confronted with, so that's why these things are showing up, planetary energies, with working with bigger energies than we've ever had to work with before, because we have the skills to do that. You know, we've done all the personal work, not done, we're never done, of course, but we've done a lot of it for a lot of years. And so the guides are saying we now have the strength as individuals to clear planetary energies. We can clear traumas from the entire planet. And that was so fascinating to me. And so I've been, hearing more about what these planetary energies are. And the guides have been giving us some new tools to move them, because they're really massive energies. But it's this fascinating thing that the guides are describing to us as something that a lot of light workers and starseeds are having the opportunity to do now. So if you're someone who's been doing your work and things just aren't quite going the way they used to, or you're hitting walls or getting in loops with things, this could be what's going on. Because the guides say that this is happening with a lot of star seeds and light workers, that we're given the chance to level up and work on energies, clear them for the entire collective. But it's a whole new way of kind of doing business. But it's been kind of interesting to hear about and to know that this is a trend that we're going to see as we kind of move forward into these new energies. We can do bigger work than we've ever been able to. So that's been really exciting and kind of something to know, just in case you're hitting some of those kind of roadblocks and wondering kind of what's going on, why aren't things working? That could be what's going on. So how about you, Yaila? What are you seeing? What's popping up?
I just love when the three of us get together, because we did not plan what each of us are going to talk about, but somehow they all weave and intertwine together. And I can so relate to what you both shared. And just commenting for you, Peyton, as far as the tools aren't working the same. I am one of those people who teaches these tools to people, and seeing a lot of success, but also it lasting for a shorter period of time than what it used to last. So yes, the grounding works, but it's short-lived is kind of what I'm seeing. Or, the manifesting things, it's like sometimes they'll happen really quick, but it's just like a little piece, then there's always more. So definitely can relate to some of these energies. And I asked, my guides and who I connect in with, because I was running into this. I'm like, what's going on here? The things that used to work before are no longer working. It's a whole other ball game now. And with looking out in the world, and I agree with Corey too, it's like I feel like when I see some people, like, we are living in a whole different they have one reality going on, I have another reality going on. And it's even as simple as driving down the road, and you're just, because we can watch the energy, we can see the energy. I'm like, this person is literally driving 50 miles in the speeding lane, like the passing lane. I'm like, what world are they in? I have no idea, but it's not this one. And they are somewhere else. But it's amusing to me. So one of the things that I am noticing as a trend within myself and the people that I work with is two words: purging and surrendering. Meaning there's a lot coming up to the surface as far as old trauma, old memories, old ways of doing things, old steps of like how they used to operate in the world, and even just stuff in their physical space, their body. They're wanting to get rid of stuff that's weighing them down on a physical, emotional, spiritual, mental level. And so there is this need to want to purge it out. And some of it's coming up almost like if you were sick and all of a sudden it just comes up and you can't control it. There's some of that element to it. And then there is some of that wanting to do your due diligence, because you're kind of seeing the writing on the wall. For example, if people around you are getting sick, it's almost like you really hone in on trying to eat better, making sure you're getting enough sleep, you're giving yourself enough, space and rest. Sometimes we kind of preemptively take more care of ourselves when we're seeing things around us. So I'm seeing this kind of purging type of again, energy going on all levels for individually and then collective. And so that's one of the things. And then the second piece to that is a surrendering, meaning when those tools or those old ways of doing things are not working like they used to, we're almost at a loss of like, what do I do now? And I know a lot of people are being brought to their knees at the moment, meaning there are some big life shifts going on, and the next steps aren't coming in as quickly as they used to. And majority of the people I've talked to are experiencing this on some type of level, whether it's something within them personally or something going on with people they care about. We're kind of being brought to our knees in a way. And the only thing we have right now is to not resist it, to surrender. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and it's almost like, some days being on my knees is too high. Sometimes I have to like lay down and just be in Shavasana or corpse pose where you're just laying on your back. It's just like, all right, universe, like wherever you want me to go, I just need a break here for a second. And then, I'm going to get up and just guide me, like wherever you need me to go, however you need me to show up, whatever I need to do in this situation, just let me know, because I'm at a loss. So I'm seeing those two themes really big and really strong, a little purging and surrendering big time for people. Ladies, anything else on your mind?
I think something kind of along the same lines of what both of you talked about that kind of goes with all of these things is also a big feeling of being stuck in between two worlds. Like you still have to operate to some extent in the old world, the 3D world, but you feel like you're not really part of it anymore. So I think I've talked to so many of my friends who are like, you feel like you're kind of stuck in this limbo zone. Like you're not in the old world. So trying to make that happen, trying to do anything the way you used to. The analogy that always comes to me is I feel like I'm trying to build something on the deck of the Titanic. Like there's just no point. But at the same time, you're not fully in the next world. Your reality hasn't quite shifted to what it's going to be. And so there's this weird feeling of like you're not connected to anything. So that's something else that I've kind of seen over the past couple of months in these energies, that you can feel like you're not really attached to anything. Like you're not quite here and you're not quite there. So that's another one of those ones that kind of goes along with us, I think.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so much so. And another thing is, like Yaila and I were talking the other day, and about, what we're seeing, like mostly in our students, is having a hard time showing up and really struggling with imagination. And I mean, I don't know, I'm gathering too, it's because these energies are so strong that normally, whatever energies are there, you still show up, you go, okay, well, I'll just do this and then this will happen. Or, I'll just like walk out the door and everything will be okay. But, you know, people showing up, having a really hard time showing up. And it's because we are in energies that we've never experienced before, literally, like all the, planetary aspects, all this, the geomagnetic storms, all of that. And a lot, I know Yaila and I were talking about it, our students in particular, but I've been seeing it everywhere, really, where people are really having a hard time showing up anywhere because the energies are so unfamiliar. And also too, imagination. I think, being locked down for so long. And Yaila made this great point, that during, being locked down, a lot of people were consuming, consuming on the phone and consuming and shopping and, Amazon and all those things, that somewhere the imagination slipped away. And it's been very interesting to witness, but all in all, it's because these energies are so different than anything we've ever experienced. And I think everybody's really suffering from um, a form of PTSD from all the stuff that we've been through, right? Unless, you know, I mean, we're all are energy workers, so to speak. So we were very fortunate that we were warned ahead of time what was going to happen and how were we going to navigate it, and we trained for these days. But it's been very interesting. Yaila, or do you want to expand on that since
Yeah.
I threw you into the mix?
Well, I guess so now.
No.
No, I was gonna say it's funny because just the other day I posted a quote on my Instagram from Neville Goddard and it goes, "Imagination is seeing with the eye of God." And so I think before, when we were younger, we kind of think imagination is just what kids do. You play pretend, you imagine, and we don't put a lot of stock or a lot of weight in the power of your imagination. But what is starting to really sink in for me, especially being a light work in the world and doing not only my own work, but standing next to people doing their work, is really learning how to hone in that skill of your imagination, because we are learning that we have so much more say in the world that we are wanting to create or be a part of. And the only way that's possible is for us to create it within our imagination first, and then it shows up in the world around us. So your imagination carries a lot more weight than what we have been taught to believe or even accept within ourselves. And it's funny, when we do see people having a hard time showing up, it's not that we're saying that in a negative way. It's just, it's hard. It's hard to bring yourself to these new frontiers. And it's hard to watch everything you knew around you almost feel like it's crumbling away. The old ways that worked don't work right now. And it feels really foreign and really scary and overwhelming many days. But if you can give yourself that space to let yourself go into that imagination and just, it's funny if you watch your thoughts from the observer perspective when you try to imagine in the beginning, because at first you're going to feel like a fraud or both. Or you're going to start imagining just like really small, basic little things. And you're going to realize, why am I playing so small? This is just like a basic need. We should be imagining bigger things, because what we've been getting is breadcrumbs up to this point. So let your imagination run wild. Imagination is seeing with the eye of God, and whatever God means for you. I know when I've been going in my surrender practice, I'm just asking to be connected straight up to the creator, straight to the heart of the universe, straight to, source. And it's just like, okay, let me just tap into this frequency. And then, I either feel more calm, feel more at peace, or sometimes I actually do get that next moment, next step, or I'm able to tap into my imagination just a little bit easier. So that's what I would add on to that. Anything else come into mind, ladies? I feel like we can go on this for a while. But it is always fun to be able to do this kind of open discussion with the three of us. So if you watching found any of this helpful, definitely give us a like or a comment. Share your thoughts as far as maybe what you're seeing as patterns or things show up, or just weighing on your heart as well, that others could benefit by hearing just that perspective, because we're just three voices. There's many voices that I think have a lot of validity out there in the world. So thank you so much for joining us this week. We post videos weekly, so be sure to tune into each of our channels, like, subscribe, share with someone that you find would find this helpful, and we will see you next week. See you then. Bye.